Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. It is October 16th, 2025. We are halfway through the month of October, which means spooky season is ramping up. You are now on the spooky descent into spookiness. I am James TSI, joined today by the most spooky man in television, Mr. John Lindemann.
It's great to be spooking with you, James.
I don't like that at all. That is the smurfification of a word that makes me very uncomfortable. Also joined today.
I'm feeling Smurfy, so it's pretty good.
God damn it. Also joined by the most elegant spooky man in radio, Mr. Guillaume Veillette.
Bonjour. I tried something.
Greg, I've run out of mediums to accuse you of being the spookiest version of. I'm just gonna say in print.
It's all right. You said medium. That's like like a spirit medium. So
hey, we did it.
Yeah, you salvaged it. It's fine.
The spookiest spirit medium game of all time, which is that fucking 3DS game that doesn't work.
Spirit camera. Yeah.
I've never had a game.
Never did. I've heard nothing but terrible things. I never did give it a go.
But really, nothing is more scary than the state of the written press.
It's true. You're right. Mm-hmm. The accusation that 52% of the content that was put on the internet written was AI generated, and it shows. I do own Spirit Camera. I talked about it on the show. It's miserable. I think I paid $5 for it. We did an episode. We're going to do Halloween spooky games. But I played that game at PAX. It was also terrible. It did not work. Imagine demoing a game at an industry event knowing that it will not work. This is a bold plan by Nintendo. A stupid plan, but a bold one all the same. I thought maybe it will work outside. It did not. Spirit Camera. Brilliant. We're here to talk about Spirit Camera. No one's here to talk about Spirit Camera. No one ever wants to talk about Spirit Camera. The only spirit is the one that it breaks when you try to play Spirit Camera. This is episode 948. 948, yes. And we're going to get into some new business. And Greg and I have both been playing the newest business in that it came out today, and that's Pokemon Z-Day, Z-Day, depending on what region you're in. I'm about an hour in. Greg, I think you're about the same.
Yeah, probably a bit less. I think it was the last time I saved, it was half an hour, I think. And then, I'd gone a bit further, so it was somewhere between there.
So have you done the Wild Zone tutorial?
Yes. We catch the extra 5 types, right? Yeah. I think that was about the last thing I did. Yeah,
I am just beyond that because I spent 10 minutes trying to catch that fucking Pichu. There's a Pichu in that Wild Zone.
I did not spot the Pichu.
It's in a section of the Wild Zone that's not connected to the rest of it. You have to go outside and go around, and there's another entrance. It's the only Pokemon there, and it runs away almost immediately. It's miserable. I want to say that this is the role that was filled by another baby Pokemon in the first Pokemon Legends. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember it took me an hour of attempts to catch that fucker. I just remember I think it was Igglybuff. Just absolutely furious. Just so mad. I'm like, I'm going to catch you so I can stomp you into the ground for this shit. Did eventually pull it off. Gonna have to do it here. Have not succeeded despite 11 attempts at it. Big mad. Big, huge mad. So yeah, we're really early in, and this game does what I find really frustrating now, in a post Breath of the Wild world of no, we're going to oh, you see that corner? You can't go there. It's what? Why not? It's a city street. Why can't I walk there? Because the plot needs you to go here. And so you are extremely restricted in the early minutes of the game. Now, I get that when you don't have a Pokemon. Obviously, you need to have a Pokemon first. And I get them maybe leading you to the wild area, but once you're in there, let me wander around a little bit. You can put some In fact, the game has put restrictions in the path as a story element. There's rocks that block the path, so you can't go back to your hotel until you break the rocks. They could have just put rocks in the places they didn't want you to go, and at least it'd feel like, hey, I'm naturally restricted, rather than this woman I just met calling me on my phone every time I try to turn this corner and tell me to go back. But I mean, yeah, I get it. It's trying to introduce all the gameplay mechanics. You don't really get to see much of the city at this point. I think you basically have seen 4 streets. You got to see a battle area, which is at nighttime when you're forced to fight, even though you're a child who doesn't technically own a Pokemon at that point. Feels like that's an omission by the people who run the battle area. You see a weird infomercial that's breaking news, but no actual news is delivered in it. That was weird, right? Where the woman comes up on the TV.
It kind of seems like a sort of public service announcement, but it's things that everyone that's actually lives in the city would already know. But so clearly they've got some sort of, very good detection capabilities. I was like, oh, here's a tourist that's never been here before. Play it.
Like an alert went off, and she's like, "What's that?" And it's like this break. I've got news, and then it's just, let me tell you about the city you already live in. It was really weird. I was like, was there a version of the script where she had actual news? Like this was a revelation? I mean,
it's near the train station, so I guess,
I guess.
Maybe you just think
so weird.
Statistically, some of those people coming through the train station have never been here before, so this is valuable information.
It was a very weird start to the game of, you're on a train, you're asleep, you see some people doing dastardly shit. Then you get a girl run up to you to take your picture, which is not at all like, if you're in a European city and a random local runs up to you and asks to take your picture, especially if it's like a cute girl, no, don't. This is a scam. This is a scam. They're going to steal your bag. Oh, by the way, your bag gets stolen. Have fun. Not by her, allegedly. And then an infomercial pops up, and then you meet a 1,000-year-old man. I did not make up any of that. That is the plot of this game. It's weird. This is some weird shit. This somehow feels less grounded than the one that's basically them retelling the settling of Hokkaido. Ignoring the fact that Hokkaido already had a native population, that Japan just kind of goes like, we arrived. It's fine. It's fine. In that case, it was Pokemon was a native population. But yeah, like not much going. Like, if you've played Legends Arceus, it feels very familiar. From a control standpoint, it's basically the same. I think there are some slight differences, but the catching mechanics of, you can just throw Pokeballs at Pokemon even before you've engaged them. The fact that you can actually knock them out to get a basically guaranteed catch for a very tiny window. Like all that stuff is essentially carried over from Arceus, but the setting is so dramatically different that it's taking me a little bit of time to sort of get my feelings around it. I'll be honest, I didn't actually plan to buy this game, but the reviews came out and they were kind of like surprisingly positive. So I figured I'd give it, I mean, I had a voucher. I figured I'd just give it a go and see where it took me. We're both playing the Switch 2 version, I believe. So
yes, that's right. It's very much the same for me. I've got to do it with a voucher. Obviously, they'll be ending that program quite soon, but pretty much already kind of was thinking I'd like to get Metroid Prime 4 Beyond as with the voucher, and then get a code for the Switch 2 upgrade pack when the time comes for that. And so I'd kind of thought this could be the dance partner game, essentially, for the, because the voucher, obviously you've got to get them essentially a 2-pack. And when the reviews came out, it was, it's been nearly, 5 years since the last Legends, right? So, and I did not play Scarlet and Violet in between. So it's been a while, and I did very much enjoy that one. And you could see, even just in the pre-release stuff, but obviously through the reviews, that this is quite different in some ways, even as it's, picking up where that left off in others. But definitely, I think the most intriguing element that kind of got it over the line for me to play it, other than, it's been a while. I quite fancy playing a Pokemon game again. Is these changes to the combat? That now you've got this greater kind of action and real-time element, not just in the fact that the Pokemon's moves are, on the kind of, somewhat like MMO or Xenoblade type cooldown things, but also like the importance of proximity and the fact that if you're engaged in like the wild Pokemon battles, like they go after you, the trainer, and you have to dodge attacks rather than just worrying about, telling your Pokemon what to do. So all of that sounded pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, like I am interested in what this game has to offer. I just wish it would let me see a little bit of it more quickly. I mean, I get it. It's the thing of our audience may be literal children.
Oh yeah, you'll have to be prepared for it with something like this. I know. Obviously, Nintendo's own games, with things like Breath of the Wild have endeavoured, having been sort of raked over the coals a few times, really. When you think of like the beginning to Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, for taking too bloody long to, let people explore and just get on with it, essentially. They've heeded that and sort of tried to be pretty good about that sort of thing, at least in a few cases. But, with Pokemon, it's not that Nintendo isn't always trying to appeal to a broad audience, but with Pokemon and Game Freak, it's like it skews so much to the younger side. You just have to think, they're going to be very, very careful about onboarding people, especially when, relative to some, Pokemon kind of games from installment to installment, it seems like there are, non-trivial differences here for people to get, adjusted to. But really, that's not the point, is it? That they've always been very concentrated on the fact that each and every Pokemon game, they want to a fair degree to be someone's first Pokemon game, and therefore you treat them, with that in mind.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. That's where their headspace is. But I think about it, and I think like, okay, but Breath of the Wild was a lot of people's first Zelda, and like I get that Pokemon is for children. It feels like they could hit a middle ground a little better of like, hey, do you want the hand holding or do you want to go fuck around a little bit? Like, we'll let you go fuck around if you want. I don't need to have access to the full world right away, but just give me a little bit of time to fuck around between tutorial segments. I just met 1,000-year-old man. I need some time. Give me some time to process this knowledge. Who's recruiting children. I'm just going to put that out there. He is definitively recruiting children. For what? I don't know. But apparently I need to keep Lumio City safe. But I'm like, man, I just got off the train. I'm here on vacation. Doug, can you imagine? You're going on vacation. What's a city that you would like to go to? Albuquerque. You been to Albuquerque, John?
Hell no.
I'm told it's beautiful.
I'm sure it is, actually.
Let's say you get off the train to Albuquerque because you took a train because it's 1940s.
And a Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, exactly, yes. And 1,000-year-old man tells you that you are key to saving Albuquerque. Please stay in my hotel.
All right.
Are you staying in his hotel?
I don't know. I mean,
I gotta think about it.
I don't know. I mean, the fact if he is a verifiable 1,000-year-old man.
You only have his word to go on.
Yeah, you have to be pretty gullible to believe that somebody is 1,000 years old, assuming they don't look like a mummy.
What if I told you he has extremely long legs to the point where he is constantly bending them to fit under ceilings? Like not human, not like NBA player long. Like
I think one of my questions,
Gumby long.
One of my initial questions would be, if
Stretch Armstrong.
If you're 1,000 years old, why do you own a hotel in Albuquerque? It just seems like there would be something more meaningful. I don't know. Like, I would question: are you hiding from somebody, or is this some sort of a ruse or some sort of a cover for something else.
Well, because he's waiting for you to come keep Albuquerque safe.
But like in a hotel that he owns, that seems like a pretty pretty ineffective way to find somebody who is going to save the city. You know, I mean, it's a hotel. A whole bunch of people walk into a hotel every day.
Maybe he really likes Pueblo geometric pottery.
Oh, he's in the right place, I guess.
Yeah, I mean Albuquerque has a rich artistic tradition. I mean, maybe that's just what he enjoys. Like it's fine. It's by the way, it's a boutique hotel. It's not like he doesn't have like a Radisson franchise. This is like a European style hotel where there's 8 rooms and the bed is made of compressed dirt. It'd be the best way to describe the bed I had in Paris. You know, it's boutique. It's elegant. It's not elegant. But okay, all right. So you're gonna need a little bit more evidence from the 1,000-year-old man that you are the savior of this city. Okay, I understand that. John Lindemann not ready to pile into saving the city of Albuquerque.
Definitely, I'm a 1,000-year-old man skeptic. Yeah, you know, you got me.
It's just this weird detail the game throws out, and everybody's like, "Wow, you're 1,000 years old." It's like I'm like, "What? What the fuck? What is happening?"
Yeah.
Such a weird game. This Pokemon's 300 years old, but this guy is 1,000. I'm like, what the fuck? Dude, get out of this hotel. Nothing good is happening here. You are being led into a cult. Like, that was the immediate thought. I'm like, is she recruiting me to join a cult? Is this a cult? We're all wearing the same clothes. This might be a cult. John, if you go to a hotel and as a consequence they give you matching clothes with the logo of a group emblazoned on it, that's a cult, right?
Or a boarding school, but I mean, if it's in Albuquerque, I don't know. All bets are off.
It's in the desert. Cult got very high cult possibility there.
Yes, if it's in a remote desert, in a remote area, like outside, maybe on the outskirts of Albuquerque, that's definitely a cult.
Okay, all right. We're in downtown. We're in downtown, not Paris, so that might change the equation a little bit. That could be rich boarding school.
Yeah.
Such like if you describe the opening hour of this game in anything other than like, oh, it's Pokemon, whatever, fuck it, who cares, and describe it like normal stuff, it comes off like I didn't think about how insane it was until I started talking right now. I'm like, this boy gets off the train, they're like, hey bro, you're the savior of town, probably. Here's a Pokemon, get to work. Come stay at my hotel. What's the rent? Don't worry about it. Here's your costume.
Don't worry, you're the one. That's like every JRPG. It's like
what's funny is they're like, you might be the one. I don't know. It's like, what? You had this Zygarde cell in your bag. Do you want to tell me? But I'm not going to tell you about that. I'm just going to note to myself that I saw it in a soliloquy. It's like, you might want to tell this kid he's got the cell of a dangerous Pokemon in his bag. He might appreciate the information. What a weird game. I guess it's kind of funny because the first Legends had a relatively grounded relative premise. Here's an island. We don't really go there, but we should probably start going there. So we're going to settle it. But yeah, it's fucking covered in Pokemon. You're going to have to try to make do. Whereas this one's like, it's a fully built city. There's Pokemon in it. Everybody knows there's Pokemon in it. Go unravel the mystery. It's like, what mystery? How is this city still functioning? I don't know. It's obviously going to need to see a lot more. I don't know, Greg, what thoughts do you have coming in?
Oh, well, like I said, I was fully prepared both from the reviews and just my own, logical expectations, previous experience with Pokemon games for it to be a bit slow coming in. So, yeah, I haven't piled in as, potentially, I guess, as much play as I could have. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to play that much more anyway, just before this recording. So, yeah, it's really good. Just had that little taste of the combat. Which is like one of the first things you do, and then they teach you how to dodge and all that kind of stuff, and then, getting back to the familiar thing of capturing the Pokemon, as one did in the previous Legends games, throwing the balls at them while sneaking around. So yeah, there's not terribly much to say at this point, but no, that'll be, you know, the interesting part is getting used to how all the different the things, you know, a lot of the different types of moves and, you know, that kind of thing, how they function in this, you know, more kind of real time and like proximity matters kind of setting, you know, and how that changes your tactics or how it changes your execution, you know, its strategies, any of that kind of stuff, I think is going to be pretty interesting to see. And just how much they want to leverage it as well. You know, see, everything I've read suggests that it's because, I guess, yeah, they've gone to the effort of updating how the battles work. It's a relatively battle-centric game in the Pokemon, you know, kind of...
I can believe that.
Yeah, and I mean, not a shock, I guess, because it doesn't sound like there's going to be... Because it is all based in this one central location, rather than, you know, typically a lot of Pokemon games, you know, at least present the idea of, you know, the typical kind of hero's journey, you know, through various different towns and, you know, kind of getting bigger and bigger until you get to the end. You know, obviously that's going to be not such a factor here. So yeah, you're just kind of expecting, yeah, they're going to have to increase, you know, the kind of complexity and you know, demanding nature of the battles to kind of keep things interesting, and obviously just introducing more Pokemon for you to catch and battle. That's where the action's going to be. So yeah, it's, you know, in terms of, I hope eventually, you know, if the Legend sub-series keeps going, that they might get a crack at doing more what they were trying to do with Arceus again, but just with better technology and better, like, development time to actually make it feel like a, you know, a big verdant world that, you know, hasn't really been kind of settled before and all that. You know, they couldn't quite pull it off with Arceus, you know? Just, I think gameplay wise, there was a lot to like, but aesthetically and all that kind of thing, it was all a bit too utilitarian to pull off that kind of premise convincingly. With this, it arguably, so to this point, this is very, very early on, as we've said, it feels even more utilitarian, right? Especially with those big dialogue boxes, you know, that look like something from an old PC operating system and all that. But that's kind of the point, right? You're in this, you know, sort of very technologically kind of oriented, you know, kind of city, right? That's all about we're using high tech stuff to like integrate our lives with Pokemon more than ever and all this. So it kind of fits more, you know, that whole feel of just like, yeah, you know, it isn't some super organic world. It's a very artificial world, even though it's meant to be like essentially Paris. It's a weirdo technological like hologram version with Pokemon all around. So I feel like, you know, obviously that's born of limitations with this is essentially a Switch 1 game. You know, the Switch 2 edition, you know, you've got a smooth frame rate so far, which is nice to have. Almost unnerving in a 3D Pokemon game, frankly. It's sort of it can function so smoothly to the extent that it has so far. But, you know, it feels like a concession to practicality, you know, of what they can achieve at this point. But maybe down the line, you know, with a subsequent Legends game or something, or even a mainline game perhaps, that incorporates things from the Legends series, that, you know, you could maybe give it a better go of what they were trying to do back then. But for now, you know, you've got all this kind of new stuff with the battle system, and that's, you know, kind of where, again, you're going to be looking for it to do, you know, interesting twists on the formula.
Yeah, I based on what I read in the reviews, the fear that we sort of talked about early on of like the setting might not offer as much sense of adventure, feels like it's probably true, but I'm kind of disappointed with granted, I've not seen a ton of it, but a lot of hologram Paris looks the same. Now, I understand big chunks of Paris do look very similar, but I don't think I saw a single hologram when I was in Paris. You could do whatever the fuck you want. You can get crazy with it. I do hope that they do something. I mean, it being an urban setting is going to make that more difficult, obviously. But I mean, it does look. You're right. It is utilitarian. Like the menus are extremely utilitarian. The character creator is kind of funny because you can't change the hairstyle. I thought that was very silly. Like you can change the color, but that's it. That's all. Like you when you start, you get essentially 8 base faces to start from, and you can tweak their eyes, their eyebrows, the color of their various pieces of hair on their face. And give them eyelashes and beauty marks. And that's it. You can't change the hairstyle, can't change the face shape. Like it is a very stripped down, character creator. Which again, it's Pokemon, whatever, but it's notable.
Yeah, I feel like there's some, like, I find a very different game, but Forza Horizon is the same way.
Yes.
Where you're
going to be in a tracksuit anyway.
Yeah, I'm the most generic archetype, bald white guy, and you can't make a bald white guy in Forza Horizon, and I'm like, that's just
because
weird.
Everybody in Forza Horizon is 23 years old.
This is true.
It's like, but, how old are you? 26? Shoot him.
Yeah, that's it.
To be fair, I can recall seeing an interview on television where Patrick Stewart described going bald in his teens. So there should still be representation for a bald white man in his 20s.
I mean, well, especially from the standpoint of like,
why is Patrick Stewart not in the Forza set in Scotland? Seriously, I don't know. They had all kinds of UK voice actors in there. You tell me we couldn't have had opportunity for him? He'd have done it. He'd do anything for $1. He had that fucking spin-off of Family Guy. Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Also, the all that narrating in Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
That's true.
So much narration.
Just get him to do this. Have him host a radio channel where he just reads books at you. That'd have been. I would listen. If you're telling me I could have listened to like the classics as read by Patrick Stewart, which he's probably already recorded, just played back at me, I'd have done that. That'd have been great. That'd have been fucking great. John, you can imagine me driving around my anime car just listening to Patrick Stewart read Moby Dick at me, right?
100%, with some of the worst anime raps on that car.
The best, obviously.
I mean, but also stuff that's like really probably about on the verge of getting banned, like somebody's about to report it.
Oh yeah, sure. I've had multiple get deleted from a car.
Yep.
Because Microsoft came through and said absolutely not, and just nuked that rap, and suddenly my car was bare metal again.
Yeah.
And then I never drove that car again. Because it wasn't offensive. I love that whole joke just started because I was going through raps and it was a really bad Dragon Ball Z rap, and I'm like, "Yep, no, that's going on in the car. It looks like dog shit." And then it just turned into anime car the whole way down.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would have put a Patrick Stewart rap on my car if I got to listen to him read Great Expectations as I drove around Scotland. Absolutely.
Only if it's a still from the David Lynch version of Dune where he's holding the little dog.
Oh God, I forgot he was in that.
It's incredible. He's holding the dog while, shouting for a House of Atreides or whatever. Incredible stuff.
God. Is that movie bad? I'm not sure. It's weird. It's too weird. I don't know if that's a good movie or I don't think
Johnny was always much more big on it than me. We've talked about this before. It's basically a lot of the reason why I'm into David Lynch, even though I didn't like it that much. But it's the reason why my brother watched Twin Peaks, so I could also watch it when I was a small child, was because he'd seen Dune and the Elephant Man, and it's like, well, David Lynch had name recognition, and therefore we wanted to watch the show. So, but I've warmed up to it a little bit actually over the years. But especially if you've seen the Villeneuve version, it's probably going to seem so creaky and silly by comparison. And the back half or third or whatever is like, if you could imagine the fast forward button on narrative, and someone is pressing it as hard as you're pressing, the gas pedal when you're trying to get away from the police. That's what's happening. It just like it zips in a virtually completely incoherent way in the second half. So yeah, but it's kind of holds together-ish up to that point, up to the point where, Paul escapes being killed with the rest of his family. And then it's just like,
which is relatively early in the story.
Yes, exactly. No, but of course it is, they kind of plays out at a reasonable pace up to that point, and then it's like, oh shit, what do we, and then it's whoop, and yeah. So, there's things to like about it, but, again, it's especially now, I don't know how well it would hold up to scrutiny.
I just remember seeing it and thinking, what the fuck? Consistently. But I've never seen the modern ones. I probably should. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I read the book. I don't need a movie adaptation. But anyway, Pokemon. Yeah, Pokemon. Greg, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Well, briefly, I could offer a quick update on Mario Galaxy 2. I sort of kept going. I'm into the green stars now. The real post-game, not just the, post-Bowser, but like post-game stuff. Which, I'll probably, now that Pokemon's come along, that'll probably be it for a while. But yeah, it just kind of, in terms of the difficulty stuff, I'd say, I've seen almost everything now, right? Thinking of Patrick Stewart lines there, in terms of the, kind of the levels themselves, right? What I haven't seen, I guess there are particular green stars that ask you to do some pretty wacky stuff. I think that's kind of what I like about it, as well as like, there's things about the green star quest that just clearly don't work. Like, it's a 1-for-1, like, mirroring of all the stars that are in the game. So what this means is that, say, for instance, if you have a motion control race stage that had 2 stars on it, well, it also has 2 green stars, when really it should probably have none. Because, it's a motion control race stage. The point of it is not really about exploring and finding, a star hidden in some weird corner, right. Where, especially because Galaxy 2, there's some areas where you have some control over the camera, but a lot of the time you don't, and it's playing with that, much like a side-scrolling game could do, with secrets in Super Mario World or, something like that. So, what's good about the green stars is when it's playing those sorts of tricks, right? And you're kind of thinking about where could they hide something, right? Where, also another sort of kind of one that they like to do a lot is basically putting one where you can see it quite clearly, but it's like, how the hell am I going to get there? And a lot of the time it's actually like a leap of faith. It's just like, yep, you have to jump, and if you miss the green star, you will die, but if you hit it, you collect it and walk back to the home base, the Starship Mario. So there's a lot of that, which, it can be kind of fun, but yeah, it kind of gets caught between, I think. It just like certain things, there's some really fun ones, where it's asking you to do some kind of gnarly kind of stuff, really leveraging all the tricks, doing a somersault, wall kicking off something, to get enough height to be able to see and find a particular green star. Like even the kind of, jumping up on Yoshi, flutter jumping, and then dismounting off him at the apex to be able to get high enough, just like really advanced stuff that is not really required at all to do the regular kind of game. It's nice to have that kind of, those techniques that are in there be leveraged in certain ways, with certain green stars. But as a whole, there's a lot of ones where, it's just kind of like, yeah, this is literally here to make up the numbers, because you've got one for each regular star, and that just, a lot of those end up not being that fun. You know what I mean? It's just like when you've got the boss rush bit from where there's just a bunch of bosses from, Super Mario Galaxy, the first one. There's nowhere interesting to hide them. It just isn't, but they still have
right.
them. There's one that isn't a boss rush. It's just like regular enemies that you fight in succession. Not the most creative, inspired level in the game the first time. When it's like, oh, well, here's a green star a third of the way in. Here's another green star 2/3 of the way in, and then another one at the end. And you got to do it, and you can't keep collecting them. That's the thing. You have that thing that Super Mario 64, kind of introduced, that kind of dichotomy between it and Banjo-Kazooie. Whereas Banjo-Kazooie, you can collect a Jiggy and stay in that world and keep collecting more Jiggies. Mario 64, because of the whole instanced approach to, the worlds kind of get remixed per star, right? You get booted back to the hub every time you collect one. So with the green stars, it's like, sometimes you would really like to be able to just keep going and collect them all in one go, but you can't. So in an example like that boss rush or the enemy rush, whatever you would call the lesser enemy rush one, you just have to do it 3 times or whatever, or twice. It depends, because some have 2, some have 3. To get all of them. And it's like, that just doesn't really work, right? But the problem, I guess, is if they'd made it a situation where you could collect them all on one, run, you wouldn't have had all these ones where it's like you'd have a leap of faith into a really dangerous place and you will die. As soon as you collect the star, you would die straight away. So they would have had to do a lot of work of maybe make it an option. Like, do you want to continue searching or do you want to go back? And when you're positioned, right next to some lava as you've leapt right into a green star, you would go, no, thank you. I think I'll go back to the safety of the ship. But, that again, presumably too much kind of work to put all that kind of extra stuff for things that, I would imagine a small minority of players would actually bother with, because you've already hit what had been, the sacred figure of 120. For whatever reason, they stuck to that for quite some time. After Super Mario 64, they've certainly stuck to it for Sunshine, even though they definitely did not have enough content to support that figure. And then they stuck with it again for Mario Galaxy. So, yeah, there's some really fun, weird stuff that the green stars will ask you to do that it's really hard to imagine any other 3D Mario game asking you to do stuff that strange, like that probe, areas that peculiar of the level, and really kind of, again, use advanced techniques and utilize, in some cases, some of the kind of gravity tricks it's pulling and all that. But that is only I don't know exactly what percentage it is, but it's only a share of the overall. I'd have to do them all to give a fair appraisal, and I'm not sure I'll necessarily be doing that. It's just, if for any reason you're really desperate to see that Grandmaster Galaxy, the last, the challenge,
pain in the ass to get
the ultimate challenge, you would have to do a lot of these ones that are more exercises in, sort of tedium or just matters of course, just the ones that are interesting and ask you to do something challenging, right? It would very much be a case of take the rough with the smooth. And that's the thing. I mean, again, in terms of the whole, playing it handheld, doing the pointer control stuff, I've now will have seen everything except that the Grandmaster Galaxy that I believe starts with a little gauntlet that is based on using Yoshi's tongue. So that would be the most challenging thing in that regard in the whole game. What I've seen, other than that, is manageable. I think you get, as I already mentioned last week, you kind of get better at it, and eventually, there's nothing so terribly tricky that is really a problem. I would imagine, especially for people who are playing both of these together, if you're going from Galaxy 1 to Galaxy 2, you've probably got better at manipulating the pointer with gyro, playing handheld, just from Galaxy 1. Anyway, so it wouldn't be anything too tricky, even though it is probably a step up, I think, with Yoshi's tongue and some of the other things here. From what was, I think, mostly really the sling stars, those kind of blue points where you kind of attract Mario towards you by clicking on them. They're still in Galaxy 2, but they're definitely de-emphasized because they kind of mix it up more with the Yoshi stuff and whatnot. So, I would have thought that just learning how to grapple with the gyro-based pointer substitution, it would probably be a smooth curve from 1 to 2. If you were going from one to the next, then wouldn't be a huge issue. So yeah, again, as I said last time, not ideal, but I think it's manageable. And, I've enjoyed zipping through all the various kind of content of the game, up to the point now where like I said, I've had a sort of smattering of the green stars to kind of get a sense of, after 15 years, what they actually involved. And yeah, kind of brought it back of like, yeah, some of these are really cool and a lot of them aren't.
Yeah, I did get to Grandmaster in my initial playthrough of the game, even though I went through the absolute grind of getting the review out. But yeah, there's some stuff that I just remember hating. Just absolutely detesting. Like, I can't believe I have to do this to unlock Grandmaster.
Well, I would say, I'd say probably of everything, I've already said, yes, there's, the policy of making it a 1-for-1 mirroring is silly, I think, because, there's just some of those worlds don't support that. Although, I mean, I must admit there was one that did make me laugh when, the second, bird-based motion control race, one of the green stars you get by immediately doing a nosedive into the lava. It's like, well, it's over quickly, one way or another. But to be honest, the most objectionable category, if you like, is where you have a green star that is one of those leap of faith type of scenarios where it's like, well, you're either going to get it or you're going to die. But they put it nowhere near a checkpoint and they actually put it right at the end of the level. That's just fucking evil.
Oh my God.
Plenty of them are near checkpoints, and it's very much like, okay, you're going to hit a checkpoint and then it's like, now you can throw it yourself at it as many times as you like. And you might die a few times before you make the jump correctly to go and get the star off in the distance, but who cares, right? But there's definitely more than a few. And I can only imagine more than I've seen so far, unless I've been extraordinarily unlucky in the ones that I've bothered to kind of sample here, where it's like, yeah, this is right at the end of the level, at the end of the section of the level, from the last checkpoint, as well as being, at the end of the level in general, where you've got to, a particularly memorable one because it kind of came back to me straight away. You've got the rock rolling ability, and you've got to go through this whole gauntlet of rolling, jumping over gaps, bouncing off walls at the correct angle, and then virtually at the last straight, instead of going straight onto the exit, you've got to bounce backwards and go roll off the end and hit this green star in the middle of nothing. Pure evil. Just to make you do that. Terrible.
There's probably, I would say, about 10 where it's just like, the fact that you put this here is not even devious. It's just mean. It's mean-spirited. You've done something unnecessary here, and I'm mad about it. Yeah. Anyway. Guillaume, what are you up to?
I've been... so I did finish getting 120 stars in Super Mario 64.
Hey!
And I did it by cheating, as I said I would.
Oh,
and,
nice.
No regrets. No regrets. I used the rewind feature liberally, and I would tell anyone to just do the same if you've never gotten the 120 stars, because oh my god, like that game's controls are finicky sometimes, and you just mean to nudge Mario just like the other way, and then like he does like some weird kind of he turns 180 degrees the long way around somehow, just like makes the biggest pivot you've ever seen and then falls to his death. It's like, come on, this is kind of BS. And so you can just quickly rewind and not do that. And that's just a godsend. And sometimes, like there's just situations that are a little bit bullshit, right? Like similar to stuff that Greg just mentioned, but also, getting the 100 stars in a level, and let's say that you grab that last coin on a slide, and it's kind of a bastard to try and get after that, or sometimes like this. Well, anyway, so on the slide, like you can. What I did actually was just like rewind and try again and again to just like jump exactly when I could finally move again after the animation of the star popped out, and that worked. But otherwise, like I would have had to go back to the beginning of the slide and, go down it and try to nab it. Like, it's just a waste of time. So, yeah, like I was very thankful for that feature. And so that made I think that probably if I had tried to do it, quote unquote, the right way, I could have done it eventually, but I would have been a much less happy person right now. And so, yeah, I say if someone out there needs the permission to abuse the rewind feature, well, you've got mine. And what's fun about the rewind feature on N64 games on NSO is that you can just... I haven't tested it, but you can just keep doing it. Like you hold down the minus button and you scroll all the way left, and then like it stops. It's like, okay, like the rewind is over. So you press A and you start from there. But like turns out you can just press down the minus button again, and they've got more of your gameplay recorded still. Like you can go back another like minute or 2 minutes or whatever it is. You can just keep doing it. So that's interesting. If you've got like choices and you've made choices and it took you a long time to regret them, it might be worth, maybe like doing a save state and then trying the rewind feature and see if you can't undo that thing that you did. So I enjoyed, I guess, the 120 stars ending. I knew not to expect much, but even so, wow. Like, basically, Yoshi's up there. He's been waiting for you, supposedly, on the roof all this time. You talk to him, and he's like, oh, like, you got everything, cool. And, like, the game tells you, like, actually, the fun is just beginning, and gives you 100 lives. It's like, okay, but nothing actually unlocked. The fun is not beginning, because I'm kind of done here.
Yeah, it's actually over.
So
it was confusing.
Late.
I've got to say, because I've mentioned plenty of times I had it in Japanese, so I didn't know what Yoshi was telling me. All I knew was he had a bunch
off the roof.
Yeah, he's had enough. His job is complete, so he's gone.
I just figure. Yeah, actually, Greg, he's just like, oh, it's you again. Well, I'm going to do it myself this time. You're not going to do it to me. And then he jumps off. So.
I pointedly refused to do that when I played Mario World. Never would sacrifice him. But you just like, okay, so there's Yoshi, but he just buggers off. You can't play with Yoshi. You get a bunch of lives. You get a different triple jump, and that's it. Like, I did end up sort of just mucking around, especially because this is, the internet is, I was online, but, not barely, so it wasn't like a really kind of easy to get like that definitive information. And the game hadn't necessarily even come out in America at that point, or maybe it just come out by the time I got to 120. So it's kind of like, is there more to this? Is there something? Is there a reason why they gave me all those lives? And then the gradual, but not too protracted realization of like, nah, there isn't.
Nah. And so very quickly, there's another game that I finished. I played through South of Midnight. It's a game that's on Xbox and only on Xbox and PC, I guess, but not on Switch. So I'm, there's not really. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but Johnny, when he was here last time, I believe, or maybe the time after that, mentioned it. He played through it. He talked about it. So go listen to that if you don't remember it. But South of Midnight, a game made by a new studio, Compulsion Games, out of Montreal. As usual, when I play through a game made in Montreal, I look at the credits and I scan it to see if I might know someone I went to high school with. And it's always the same little group of people who went on to work for Ubisoft at some point. So I did see in the credits he was in the alumni for the game. So I guess he didn't quite get to the finish line, but he was still credited. And yeah, it's just kind of neat, I guess. We were not friends. He was actually kind of an asshole. And now I looked at his LinkedIn and he's in Vietnam. So,
sure.
Good for him. Yeah.
So it's sort of like if you were playing Batman Arkham City and you saw my name in the credits, you'd be like, I'm not really friends with him and he's kind of an asshole. So, there you go.
Different people. Different people can be different things.
What are we doing?
Anyway.
I don't know what kind of an answer that is, Guy. I really don't. Oh, man.
But anyway, so South of Midnight, like it's set and, like it's kind of this southern fairy tale kind of romp. I don't know, like this third person adventure game. You do all the things that you associate with third person games. You climb up walls and run around and do some, very cinematic platforming, and you explore and find little hidden doodads to upgrade your powers. In combat, you've got an arsenal of different moves that you keep upgrading. It is I was strangely, well, it's not that strange. Like it's kind of what we get at when we talk about games, well-made games by professionals.
Yes,
it doesn't really derogate from all the best practices of this genre, and as a result, I was maybe a little bit kind of not very charitable to it. I was like, okay, sure. I'm gonna hang on this rock ledge and I'm gonna jump and it's gonna fall as I'm jumping because it's programmed to not really be a hazard, just to be cinematic and whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure why I was so blasé on the gameplay, but eventually, you keep playing it and you kind of get more into it. What stands out in this game really is the visuals and the setting, which is very much unlike any of those games. You're not playing as a sad dad trying to raise a son. Like you're not like whatever. Like
yeah. So it's not God of War and like every single other game.
Yeah, it's not a Sony game. It's a very much it's doing its own thing that we haven't seen too much.
Are you trying to get revenge, though? That's the key. Are you trying to get
always,
revenge?
John.
It's
I'm
always
trying to get
man.
revenge.
Sad dad getting revenge.
Yeah, no, you're trying to save your mom, who's been who was like in the house that got taken by the flood, basically.
Johnny talked about this game when he was on at one point. I just can't remember when that was.
Maybe a month ago or.
No,
I
it
don't know.
was
Time
way more than
has
that.
Time has lost all meaning. But so like it's very neat looking. As I mentioned when Johnny talked about it, like the Compulsion Games had their studio next to a stop motion animation studio.
Right.
And so they were like, they checked out the work they were doing. They were like, that's cool. And so they kind of gave that stop motion look to some of the cinematics, the animations in the game. And maybe because of that, I feel like this would actually make like a pretty good animated movie. I feel like it would be cool if this story kind of got this adaptation so that more people would enjoy it than just Xbox owners who are a very kind of small bunch. And I don't know how popular this game was, but I'm glad I played through it. I
don't think it did very well.
Yeah, and that's too bad. Like, it would be neat if it came to Switch 2. I'm guessing that Microsoft has other priorities. They've got much bigger successes that they probably want to port over first. And also, I think that this was not I don't think that they own the studio. I think they just publish the game. So that's even less of an incentive to try to make it into a big success, I guess, and to port it left and right. So anyway, if you, I would recommend checking it out on PC maybe, or Xbox. And I'm glad that I got to experience this, like a very different world than what I'm used to in modern video games. So yeah, check it out.
Cool.
And that's it.
John?
Yeah, so, a little while back I mentioned I was, reading through, Play Nice, the book about Blizzard. And it's funny because you see kind of through lines in the industry, right? So, the one thing I didn't have, I'd already talked about this game a while back, but this is the Atari 50 game. Anniversary collection. And so the one thing I didn't have is the DLC that is the first console war. So I picked that up. So I started going through this again, and it's very funny having these two sort of stories of these video game companies as bookends to each other, because you start to see the same things happening with both of these companies and their corporate overlords. So, and also that the corporate takeovers and subsequent treatment of engineering focused orgs by their corporate overlords, and also the way that engineers are just absolutely treated like shit. So with Atari, it's pretty funny because they got taken over. So they were wildly successful. They got taken over by Warner Communications, and they, ironically, a whole bunch of their engineers split and formed Activision, and then Activision got taken over by Bobby Kotick, effectively. But the same thing happened.
To be fair, they were about to go completely bankrupt before he bought the company for a song.
Oh, for sure. He definitely saved the company. But you can see with Kotick, because one of the things they talk about is how Kotick effectively, he didn't really care about video games at all. He was just like, what can I extract? How can we take this successful franchise and run it into the ground and then strip mine it and then move on to the next franchise, right? Like, that's him, and he is the epitome of the corporate guy that just wants to see money and doesn't really care about video games, their legacy, how they're received, anything like that. And really, the forerunner of that is Atari, where you have Warner. So they needed money. I mean, it's like a tale as old as time, where in order to expand, Atari needed money. They needed funding to further, specifically for the VCS, really. So they get bought out by Warner Communications.
What a great use of your money.
Yeah, and so they get taken over by this guy, Ray Kassar, who was a CEO. I think he went to Wharton. He's one of these Procter and Gamble type guys. Right. And he brings in a whole bunch of people like that with him. And of course, all of the engineers are like, and the thing is, these are not just really any engineers. These are genius level engineers, right?
Right.
I mean, the amount of people that went through Atari is really crazy. I mean, we're talking Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Mark Cerny worked there for a while. All of these really, really incredibly smart guys are really there's an argument to be made that Silicon Valley in and of itself started at Atari. And so you have all these engineers, and they all hated Ray Kassar because he didn't know anything about games, and the amount of mistakes that they made were just crazy. And really also there was, the video game crash in 1983 came around just because Atari really was the first console cycle and nobody knew what to do after it.
Right.
But it is so funny seeing that, because some of the stories, not only did all of the engineers hate Ray Kassar and just were marketing, all the engineers, they pretty much said, yeah, marketing just came in and took over. And they had really no idea. The projects that they killed, caused, just drove engineers away from the company because they were like, okay, well, we can see where this is going. The whole debacle with the Atari 5200, where, they brought out the 5200. They specifically didn't want it to be backwards compatible with the 2600 until 2 months before it shipped. And then they said, oh my God, that's a huge mistake. We have to make it compatible with the 2600. We don't know what we were thinking. And all the engineers, the hardware guys were like, well, it's already being made. Like, we can't change it. And
there's no going back now.
Yeah, there's absolutely no going back. And so what they had to do was they had to create this add-on that, you know, like a Sega style, you know, add-on that you plugged into the 5200 and then you plugged in a 2600 cartridge. And I mean, no one's going to buy this, right? And furthermore, that add-on only worked with certain versions of the 5200 because they had to alter the hardware slightly to even make it work. So the early runs did not work with this add-on. So it was just a complete debacle. They never should have released it.
The funny thing is, this is also what the ColecoVision did to be able to play Atari games. They made an Atari 2600-like and basically put it in a box.
Yeah.
Like, that add-on is really a 2600, and it's just pinning into the 5200's ports. Coleco did the same thing, and Atari sued them, and their product was better than the Atari one for the 5200.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Significantly better.
Yeah. And so there were so many just unforced errors, and really, like, with the Atari 2600, it was so successful, and they were making so much money off of it, that they were extremely hesitant to even come up with a plan to succeed it. Not only did they not have a plan and not know what to do, but they wanted to juice profit off of the 2600 for so long that it was just crazy. They kept it going way longer than it ever should have. But the funniest story from the whole thing that I've come across so far, and I've gotten through to the point, where, like, it's the release of kind of the 7800 and the Atari 400 and 800 computers. But the absolute funniest story in terms of how the engineers were treated is the one guy. He sold, I think 2.5. It was the guy that did, I forget his name, but it was the guy that created Missile Command. Missile Command sold 2.5 million copies. And this is in like 1982 or something. I mean, this is really, really early. Okay. And these things, so if you do the math, I kind of looked, there's a couple of flyers that they have in there. Atari 2600 games back in the day, they were selling for maybe about $27. Let's just say about $30.
It's so Dave Theuer, right?
Sorry, was that
Dave Theuer? Isn't that his name?
No, it's it's not. I think it's something like Jesse something or something like that.
Okay, because I thought the Missile Command was the same guy as the Tempest guy, the real Tempest guy, not Jeff Minter, who came in and made his own Tempest. Okay, well, yeah. I might be wrong. It's fine.
Yeah. It's something like maybe I'm getting these guys confused.
Whatever.
But anyways, the takeaway is, I mean, if you do that math, let's say $30 times 2.5 million, I think that's about $75 million, right? And so
in 83 money.
Yeah, in like early 80s money. But the funniest thing / saddest thing is, so he's sitting there, he's thinking, wow, like, you know, I created this game, I wrote this game for them that made them that sold 2.5 million copies. So obviously, you know, Christmas is coming around, and he's thinking, I'm going to get some sort of like big Christmas bonus. And so he did. And what it was they gave him a coupon for a free turkey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what he got. And they were saying like, yeah, like that, you know, these guys were writing games that would make the company $16 million, and they were getting paid $20,000 a year.
Yeah,
so, that's like absolutely fleecing these guys.
It's also a statement of they didn't think these guys could leave and just make their own company, which they did.
Yeah, they didn't understand. That's one of the things they were saying about Ray Kassar, is that he really had no idea how they thought that that all of these engineers were just replaceable, which is laughable, seeing the talent of the people that were there. You know, these are guys like David Crane, you know, Gary Kitchen, like the guys that created like Yar's Revenge, Pitfall, River Raid, all this kind of stuff. Like, these were just guys, they were just like, get out of here. You know, we don't care if you leave. So yeah, it's really crazy, like that. And this just happens. I mean, I think it was just kind of the same thing at Activision too, where you just get these corporate people coming in that really have no idea, that think that everything is just repeatable, and they don't realize the artistry or cleverness that goes into these things. But also too, they don't have the mindset. They don't want to take risks. That's another thing too. It was a lot easier, when Atari was started, because it was just a bunch of guys kind of hanging out, like just a bunch of nerds, like hardware engineers, and software engineers, just kind of hanging out, doing stuff they thought was cool, and it just happened to be really popular and made a lot of money. But then you get these corporate people coming in, and they're like, "Hey, this is making a lot of money, so therefore we need to stop doing cool things and start doing things that are safe."
I mean, stuff like Adventure.
Yeah.
Which is crazy when you think about it now.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't there a game that, like, if you won it, you got a chance to win, like, a golden sword or some shit?
Yeah, that was so that was Sword Quest, and they were originally going to create 4 games.
Yes, they didn't make them all.
Yeah, and Dave Thurr, by the way, he actually did it. Maybe it was Dave Thurr. But, so that was Sword Quest, and so they had, they had Earth World, Fire World, Water World, Air World. And they did give away some, and so they had this whole contest where if you kind of figured it out and figured out this riddle that was within the game, they flew you out to Sunnyvale, California, where they were, and eight gamers would sit there and compete, and whoever won would get this actually, it was done by Franklin Mint, if anybody remembers.
Wow.
Yes. This very 80s, very much, they would kind of make these, you would see their commercials on television a lot from the Franklin Mint. They would make these commemorative coins and stuff like that.
Oh, I remember.
And so
right on USA.
Yeah. And so they made a couple of things. I think they made, it was originally going to be like a crown, a chalice, I think a box and a sword. And I think they made the box and the chalice. But I don't think anybody ever got the sword or the crown. Because they never actually made, I think it was Air World that never got made. Because by the time it was, like, everything had wound down by that time.
So they made as a talisman of pentultimate truth, not the ultimate truth, the second to last truth.
Yeah.
It's just an 18 karat gold studded disc.
Mm-hmm.
These are all worth about $25,000 in 80s money. Yeah. Fireworld had the Chalice of Light, a goblet made of platinum and gold with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, pearls, and jade. Waterworld was the Crown of Life.
Yep.
And then Airworld was going to be the Philosopher's Stone, which was a jade in a box.
Yeah.
And then the final prize, the 4 of them were going to compete for the sword, which was worth $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
The Sword of Ultimate Sorcery.
Yeah.
But since they didn't make the 4th game, the Sword of Ultimate Sorcery, I believe, disappeared. It is missing. Oh yeah, they all got made.
Okay, so it all got made. Yeah. Which seems kind of silly, actually. Why would you make those artifacts, why would you make those prior to the games being out when you would only have to make one of them?
Because you're going to make a Risk. You're going to do Risk.
Yeah.
Also, John, have you got to the part where Ray Kassar got caught in an insider trading scandal?
Oh, did he? I haven't seen that.
Oh, yeah, that's coming. It's coming.
That is really funny. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's a real crazy story because it was like the first, like these guys were just, they had no idea really what they were doing. They were just doing what they thought was neat. And it goes into a lot of things, like how they tried to get into pinball, but, they were terribly made. And I mean, I talked about this before, but it is really, really fascinating. And you still see the same things over and over again. You see these companies get really successful, and then the corporate people come over, the engineers get squeezed out. Nobody really appreciates who builds this stuff, And so, yeah, but Atari was really like ground zero for a lot of that stuff. But I'll be curious to see where they actually go with like the first console wars. James, do you know what they actually talk about there? Like they talk,
I don't.
they go. I mean, I'm wait. Like it's gonna be Jaguar. I know that. That's gonna
God.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. Like I really wish, and that's the thing that that if they would have probably made a couple of like they think all those guys generally think they say if they would have not completely botched the Atari 5200, they would probably still be a player today. But that really sunk them, and especially
maybe
right around the timing of it too, around like that was like 84 kind of thing, right before the NES comes out, and then they were really weak. They released the 7800, and one of the problems they had too was that their killer apps were games that had been out in the arcade for 5 years. Like nobody really cared about the 5200 or the 7800 version of like Centipede and Millipede, and Missile Command. Like nobody cared really about those. Like those games were all old news. And then of course, as soon as 85 hits, you have the NES and Nintendo just wipes the map with them. And then also their computers flop, in light of, the Commodore 64, and then, even like the Amiga, and then IBM PCs come in, and their computers, which were like the 400 and 800, and then the 800 XL and the 1040 ST, and stuff like that. Like those things, they really fumbled the ball. You can see it. It's really fascinating. They had the world in the palm of their hands. At one point, they commanded at least 80% of the market of console video games.
Yeah, they did. I just think the people running the company, even if they hadn't fucked up the 5200, were just generally incompetent.
Yeah.
And so they would have fucked up something else instead.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like, it was they are the drunk driver who missed the first parked car, but they're still blowing a .33.
Yeah.
Like they may have missed your parked car, but a parked car in the near future is going to meet the front of their bumper.
Yeah.
Did I say this because somebody drove through four yards in my neighborhood, including decimating my trash can on Sunday? Who can say?
Yeah, who can say?
They drove through 3 hedges in 3 different yards.
But you can see that the person that can speak to the engineers in their language while also kind of like that Steve Jobs type of personality, there's a reason why that guy was successful, right. Is because he had a singular ability to be able to communicate in both worlds. And like you see these companies, they come in because there is some, like, you either have polar ends of the spectrum where you have the engineers who cannot communicate, but they're amazing engineers and they can design you anything and they have brilliant ideas, but they just can't market them at all. So Then you have marketing people come in and all they can do is market, but they don't know anything about the products and they don't know anything about the engineering involved. They have no idea like what's good, what's bad, what should be prioritized, what shouldn't. Very rarely do you have somebody like Steve Jobs come along who knows both areas. So, yeah.
Don't worry,
crazy.
product fixed all that, John.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, and it's also funny just seeing this kind of stuff, working in corporate software development. It's like, yeah, this all checks out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, I live it every day.
Yeah, it all checks out, man.
I told these guys that I got to spend. I told y'all that I spent a whole afternoon with Paul marketing before we recorded 2 weeks ago. Yep. I got the same presentation the next day. I got that presentation twice in a row. I was ready to die. I was wishing for my body to explode. Mm-hmm. I was like, please explode, please explode, please explode. Take them all with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the Paul marketing experience.
Yeah, like the one thing they talk about there is they had a design. What's interesting is they actually had a lot of, they wanted to create, way back, like 82, they wanted to create a handheld video game system.
Yes.
They wanted one that was using holograms for backgrounds.
Which is insane.
Yeah, which is incredibly, these guys like Al Alcorn, that guy's a genius. Okay?
Yeah.
And they were not interested in it, and they had a working prototype. They even had the packaging created for it. I mean, it was pretty much ready to go. They had like a production-ready prototype.
Which in a weird way is almost like a failure of management to have let it get that far.
Yeah, really. Like without even, because they
with
pretty
no
much,
plan
I think they went ahead. I think they actually, like, they really liked the idea, so they just went ahead and built it. So, it goes to show you how that relationship was. But, yeah, they killed that, and they were just pretty much like, like, because of that, like, I think Al Alcorn was like, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this crap anymore. You guys don't know what you're doing. And sure enough, they didn't.
Why is our R&D budget super high for no products? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that was the Atari Cosmos, I think it was called.
Yes, I'm reading about it right now.
Yeah. Yep. So,
3D holographic overlays.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Right? Yeah, it's really, really
sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like for that time period, it's really, really, really cool.
It's weird.
Yeah, very weird.
The ships could not interact with the backdrops. Oh, so it was basically just like those LCD games where there's really well done art backgrounds behind to give the game something to render against. I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes more sense.
Yep.
There are some of the Nintendo Game & Watch games that have that did a projection, so there was the screen flips up and then it projects onto the thing you lift up.
Mm-hmm.
That did some goofy stuff like that for effect.
Yep. Yeah. Here's the Missile Command story. Missile Command was ported to the Atari 2600 in 1981. On level 13, if the player exhausts their missile supply without scoring any points at the end of the game, the city on the right will turn into RF, the initials of programmer Rob Fulop. Fulop, in an interview with Paleotronic magazine, Fulop stated that Atari paid him for his work by giving him a Safeway coupon for a free turkey, which motivated him to leave the company. And this is for a game that sold 2.5 million copies.
Wow.
Which motivated him to leave the company and co-found competing developer Imagic, which made some amazing games. Much better than most of what Atari ever made.
Yeah, Atari made a lot of shit.
Yeah, Atari did make a lot of shit.
They never released Venetian Blinds because they're cowards.
Yeah. But yeah, paid him with a Safeway coupon for a free turkey.
Actually, that was Activision that made Venetian Blinds.
Yeah.
I will say I once did get a turkey at Christmas from my employer during the Great Recession, but we also got bonuses.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, I got it. The last time I got a turkey as a Christmas bonus was when I was working for a grocery store bagging groceries.
Yeah, our bonuses come at the end of the fiscal year, which is not Christmas. They're like, fuck that. You get your bonus when we decide you get your bonus.
Yeah.
I could use the money for the holiday. You can get bent.
Yep.
You'll get it in March.
Yeah, but it's also interesting playing through some of these old arcade games. A lot of them aren't great. The one that actually was interesting though, that surprised me was Black Widow, because it's a twin stick shooter. It's from like 1982 or something. But you're
sticks?
You're a spider on a web. You had two, like the arcade version, I guess had two joysticks, and one was for moving and one was for shooting. And you're a spider on a web, and it's very much kind of in that mold of like Geometry Wars kind of thing, where you have all these enemies coming in from all over the place. I suppose probably a better, I don't really know what the timeline would be here, but like a better
Robotron.
Robotron would be a better. I don't know when Robotron was released. I think it was a little bit later, maybe 82. But Black Widow's pretty old. And yeah, but it's fun still because it's a flat out twin stick shooter where you're flying all around the yeah, you're flying all around the screen on a web, and enemies kind of drop money, and yeah, it's really good, really fun. Like a lot of these games, it's like, and some of the games like Tempest, where they're very clearly like games that are either made for a trackball, like stuff like Centipede and Millipede. They play, they're okay. They would really be better with a trackball controller. And the same thing with games like Tempest, where you are, I think, if I recall, they had actually a controller or a control mechanism where you turned, right? So, you would have a spinner, right? Because you're moving around counterclockwise and clockwise around a playing field. So having it on a joystick is weird because you're moving counterclockwise around a circle, but you have to move to the right or left with the joystick. And so it's just weird. It's very disorienting doing that. So not all the games work, but a lot of them are still really, really good. But yeah, so I'm going to go through all the way through to the console wars that they talk about, and I really want to see like stuff about Jaguar and Panther and all that. Just it's kind of a chronicle of a disaster, really. Like the highest of the highs meeting the lowest of the lows, and now it's actually kind of in this. I think Atari's kind of in a cool spot where it's been taken over by, I think, like Wade Rosen is their CEO now, and it's really a pure nostalgia play where they came out. I think they just came out with the Game Station. Is that their handheld that they just came out with?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
They bought the Intellivision brand from Tommy's fucked up company.
I mean, Jesus.
Because again, it's a nostalgia play. So we bought Intellivision now. We own the company that was our biggest competitor.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you own the holding company that is a shell of the fragment of the piece of your biggest competitor.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mattel was your competitor. Intellivision was a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Game Station, Atari Game Station Pro.
The Atari Game Station Pro.
Oh, well, they have the Game Station Pro, which is the actual console, and then they have the Game Station Go, which is the portable with 200 preloaded games on it, which is kind of cool because it does have a trackball in it, which is really cool. But I don't think, from what I've seen on Reddit, I've read a couple of posts about it, and it's 179, and the one guy was sort of like, yeah, the trackball is okay. It could be better. It would probably be better if this thing was like, maybe $30 cheaper or so. If it was more around the 150 price point. But it looks neat. I mean, it looks pretty cool. Especially with the trackball and everything. So, but yeah. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I'm digging it too. I'm digging it. It's really interesting. It's an interesting kind of walk down memory lane, and just seeing how Atari just, all the drama around it is really interesting. So if you're into that,
cool.
You should check it out.
I do have one other thing I'll mention just very quickly because I refuse to give more details on this. I have spent a significant amount of time this week looking at various NES emulators playing AI-only games for a research that I am doing, which if you've ever wanted to just watch your brain slowly shut down, watch a game of NES Monopoly with no human interaction just absolutely race through and just see the dumbest strategies you've ever imagined. Because it's like the presence of a human player buttresses their otherwise completely self-destructive behavior. Then you're just watching it rip, and it's like, I have $800. I'm going to trade for... I have one of the yellow pieces. You have another. There's a third that neither of us have. I'm going to give you $800 for it. It's like, well, wait a minute. Now you don't have any money. Now you have to mortgage, but you accomplished nothing. Why? Whereas if there's a human player turning down these idiotic deals, it kind of tempers down the game. I don't know. I'm very interested in how AI-only games worked on the NES with the limited capacity they have, because sometimes the outcomes are very funny. What am I going to do with this information? Well, you might find out. If it works out, you'll definitely find out. If you find that it's boring, you won't.
So these are games being played by AI?
These are games that had the ability when they were released for all players to be CPU controlled.
Okay, yep.
It's like fighting games where you could say computer versus computer. There were games on the NES that did this, yeah. And so the first one that I did was 8-player Monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
with all of them being computer players, and it went really poorly. Actually,
So
it was
how
kind
is
of.
just out of curiosity, how is the AI trained on these?
I mean, it's not AI. Like it's
Okay.
this is this is in the NES cartridge, the CPU. Like
Okay.
this, like if you were playing it single player and you're like, well, I guess I have to have Sony compete against, you'd create AI opponents.
Yeah.
And the game would just run them, but they're very stupid because it's the NES.
Okay. So
Now,
so
if I were to,
so this is just setting all of the players to CPU and then letting it
Yeah.
run. Okay.
and
Interesting.
seeing, like I was just very curious how they would absorb something like Monopoly, where the competition isn't exactly like discrete. It's much more like setting things out, and the answer is a lot of I'm going to buy a house and then I'm going to mortgage my property because I bought too many houses.
Mhm.
It's like, but you idiot! Why did you do that? But also that game is weirdly fascinating. There's a few other ones I've been playing with. I'm pretty sure you can do it with what was that awful Rare board game where you have to draw pictures? Or well, the computer draws the picture.
Pictionary or
No, not Pictionary. You don't draw them. The game draws them and you have to guess what they are. I'm blanking on what that thing is. Everybody's wearing like 1980s sweaters like they're going to go play Supermarket Sweep on the cover. I can't remember what it's called. But I think you could do it in that one, and that's going to be fucking atrocious. I'm very excited for that. So this is a project because I was just curious how these actually worked, like how these games that didn't have a lot of capacity, like for obviously processing capacity, how did they handle having all these AI players just doing stuff? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like, well, what does it do? Is it funny? Yeah, it's kind of funny. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just like, I can't believe I'm still watching this fucking thing go. Why am I watching this? What am I gaining from this experience? This is not exciting. And then occasionally it'll just be like weird AI handshaking bullshit, which is a thing that they'll do sometimes. Like the computer will just start shaking each other's hands all the way through, and you're like, what are you doing? Stop it. Initiate trade. It's like, oh my God, please, I'm begging you to stop. Stop
what are you
it.
doing?
Stop.
Like what are you doing? Are you doing sort of like algorithmic then versus now? Or what?
No, I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, how complex is this thing's behavior?
Yeah.
Like, is it semi-random? Is it just doing things randomly?
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, I could decode these games and find out, but I'm trying to do it observationally.
Yeah.
But also sometimes I'm just fucking laughing because it'll be like I really want Baltic Avenue. I've only got $1. I'm going to offer you $1 for Baltic Avenue. And the other computer just goes decline. And I'm like, why? Why did it even make that deal? Why did it even offer it? There's no way he was going to accept. Are you stupid? And the answer is like, yeah, actually, I'm very stupid. Why do you ask? Or then it'll be like, oh, I own the waterworks. You just got the electric company. I'm going to offer you $1,000 for the electric company. And you're just like, that'll never pay for itself. Why? What are you doing? So I'm trying to like figure out, is it like there does seem to be some math to it. Like it is legitimately, he got the electric company. I've had the water utility. But as soon as he got it, I made an offer. So like it is factoring in that I already own the other thing, so I value this more. But then the math doesn't make any sense. The numbers it offers will either be like crazy low or crazy high and just self-destructive in all kinds of weird and stupid ways. Or it'll be like one side will make an offer, it'll get declined. The other side will immediately make an offer, it'll get declined. And then you sit there and go like, oh my God. They just keep trying to trade this piece back and forth. Please stop. I'm begging you to stop. No one has made a deal in 20 turns, but they've tried every single goddamn time. Please. Please, my children are starving. And you're just trying to build another fucking hotel. I know what you're doing. It's so weird. And like, I think I understand after watching this thing for a full game, most of the strategy, just observationally. But, I don't know. There's some stuff in there that I don't entirely understand yet, where it's like, oh, he bought that property, he's going to try to make a deal now. And then I'm usually right. But then sometimes it's like, why? Why are you making this deal?
Yeah, like I wonder, like, you know, I would think that you would see tendencies or, you know, because I mean, really that whole thing would just be one big algorithm. If you do this, if you see this, do this.
And you do.
If you see this, do this.
You do see tendencies. But sometimes it's like, why did you accept that deal?
Yeah.
Why? That's a terrible deal.
Yeah.
Or why would you offer that deal? You're lucky he rejected it. That's dumb as hell. But they don't always do that. It's not always like, I'm going to throw a maximum number at this thing to get what I want.
Yeah. And you wonder, too, how much of it is just like, okay, well, if you see this, just flip a coin.
Right. Is it just random? Does it just do a random offer?
Yeah.
Like I have,
you know,
there's something weird going on that I really appreciate. I've looked at a couple of different games that have the auto AI player, like all CPUs, and I find their behavior fascinating. There actually is a Monopoly trained AI. I think they trained it on like a PC version of Monopoly just because it was easy to do the inputs. And yeah, there is an optimum strategy to playing Monopoly, and it's complete dumb bullshit that you would never do as an organic player. It's one of those things where, like, yes, the AI found a path that is optimized, but fuck, why would you ever play the game this way? This would be miserable.
Right. It's, you know, why would you min-max Monopoly? Like,
right.
You know?
It's advanced, like the strategic composition of the play has advanced beyond the point where this is what a human would do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I play like a Total War game, I eventually start to understand how to break the computer in that game. But like the strategies I'll employ to break the computer when it's like, uh-oh, I'm in a lot of trouble here. I should definitely lose this. Let's just be a fucking asshole and break the game. Are not strategies an actual military commander would have ever given in that time.
Yeah.
Because they don't make any fucking sense. They work inside the, I can't remember what the term is for like the fake reality that's trying to mimic the real one. The simulacrum. They work within the simulacrum of the game, but they're not something a human brain would have invented. So they're like, I'm gonna make them tired by running these horsies around them because they're just gonna keep trying to follow it because the AI is stupid. Oh, their units are all tired. Now I'm gonna charge down on them because I made them tired chasing the horsies. It's just dumb. It's just dumb bullshit. It's like, why would you do that? I don't know. Because I thought it'd be stupid. The AI Monopoly strategy looks very much like running the horsies around to make everybody tired and then hitting them with force troops that have just been standing on top of a hill for 3 hours. It's like, all right, they're tired now. I guess we can go deal with it. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see how badly the CPU would get roasted by that algorithm. But, I've kind of been laughing at it as it happens, but also the NES Monopoly is fucking insane. Like, it's got the weirdest combination of, like, sound effects that have been crunched down to fit onto the NES. Like the fucking railroad train where it's just burr, burr, but it's like fucking pixelated, awful, garbled sounding nonsense. When you leave jail, it is a very Irish sounding man saying, don't come back. I'm like, oh, we have Irish police officer. Oh shit, there it is.
Well, exactly.
It's like, but also it's garbled pixel nonsense. It's great. It's fucking terrible. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. There's so many just like weird fucking noises that come out of that game. Where like, I just had it running and I was watching Raw while it was running.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, cause Raw was in Australia this week. So it was
still in Australia. Yep.
It went live at like 10 a.m. Eastern. So I was watching it that evening and I had it running on the corner, just going like, yeah, what are you up to? And all of a sudden I just heard this fucking train whistle and I almost dropped the thing I was looking at that moment. I'm like, fuck! Fuck you, game! Go to hell! It's just a constant barrage of sound being thrown at you by that fucking game. It's great. It's like, it's like those YouTube videos where it's, an hour and 25 minutes with that pipe sound effect that just plays randomly.
Mm-hmm.
So like it'll be like 20 minutes of silence and then pipes.wave plays. It's the sound of somebody dropping a metal pipe. It's just that. But it's an NES game being driven by absolutely psychopathic CPU players. It's like, oh, okay, what's happening over there? You'll just hear, like, there was a stretch of time where everybody went to jail, everybody got out because they had get-out-of-jail-free cards. And so it was just me hearing the Irish stereotype cop telling them, and don't come back now, over and over again. For like 4 consecutive turns. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening over there? I'm just like, don't look at it too hard. You might go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a project in mind for this, and it's dumb. And if it works out, I'm very excited to see it because I think
James,
it's got
speaking of
potential.
That, I am actually kind of disappointed that you haven't started generating. I think it's because of your art, your pure art. You view it as art.
Yes.
You're an artisan. Is why you haven't used that for the RFN TSIs. Why you haven't started using AI for that?
I think I'll do a better job.
Yeah.
And two, it's gotten to this weird point where it's like decoupage. Like it actually is art in its own fucked up kind of way.
I know. I look at it every single week. Now that we're caught back up on Mastodon.
Yeah. Oh god, I get to go read your descriptions of the images now.
Oh yeah. Trust me. I mean, let me see. The last one I put up there was let me just check here. The last one I posted was the Johnny L season TSI.
Yep.
And I said, in the wilderness, a rabbit and duck look at a yellow notice on a tree. It reads Johnny L season with the face of a handsome, wise bald man, strangely reminiscent of John Lindemann underneath it. So
the funny thing is, not a single component of that image came no one component of that image came from any one source. Like the tree was one WikiHow article. The background was another one. The duck was originally white. I had to recolor it because I couldn't find a black duck on WikiHow. Yeah. And then the rabbit was a fourth one. And then I had to make the sign myself. Mm-hmm. But again, it's a reference to one of the most famous Looney Tunes sketches.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's got to be a black duck because that's the joke. I need to make the duck black. And at some point, I've had this moment where I'm like, I'm putting a lot of thought into these, and I don't know why. And I think the answer, John, is that it has become artistic in some way, and that's fucking terrifying.
Well,
honestly,
I have to look at these.
You do.
Yeah.
And everyone who goes to Nintendo World Report does too.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, I have to describe these TSIs every week. So
and when I make them, there's no intent to describe them. They are indescribable.
I know.
Deliberately.
I know they are completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
A man in a shirt and jeans with a pink Kirby as his butt cheeks stands on a beach staring at the ocean. That's he's
on two trucks. He's
a
on
Nintendo
two trucks.
executive with a me head presents Doshin the Giant on a TV screen behind him. He's saying, "Taking flour made me do it," a reference to the Taking Flour toy on a stool to his left. On the right is a Switch 2 and an N64 DD unit on a table. A news caption reads, Nintendo 64 DD to Nintendo Switch Online?
Question mark. Because not even the subtitler believes this bullshit.
Yeah.
The flower is saying something. If you care to try to translate it, there is a message there.
An LCD watch on a person's hand. The face is green with an LCD game running. Some of the buttons on the face include greet and inappropriate flirtation.
I forgot that was the other button.
Yep.
There's some good ones. I'm happy with what I've done this year.
A man, presumably James Jones, edits a podcast on Audacity while saying Swedish erotica.
That was, to be fair, that was dejection, not arousal.
I don't know. I'm just interpreting what I see. A man films another man fully clothed on a stage in a strip club with a pole in the foreground. Dollar bills are on the stage along with a bow tie and several carrots.
So who's the man then, John?
I don't know who that man is.
It's Horace. Obviously. Okay. That's why it's carrots. People have been throwing carrots on stage for him.
Yep. I sometimes do these after the fact, so I kind of miss the point. A stack of pizzas sits on a table in boxes that read Army Pizza. On the left is a person asking, "How's it poppin'?" And on the right, a person says, "Fuck you." These are just just excerpts from the
That is Xenoblade X.
Yeah.
That is chapter 12 of Xenoblade X, word for word.
Yeah. So these it's just a taste.
Just a taste. I mean, that's all you can really have at any one time.
Yeah.
So I think the reason why I haven't done AI with it is legitimately it has become, it's like decoupage. Like there is a sense of art to this at this point that I did as a joke, and now I'm stuck. Like you say you're stuck looking at them. I'm stuck making them.
It is a hellish existence.
I am not rolling the ball up the hill. I am making the hill to roll the ball up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like Cerberus is looking at me going like, "Bro, what are you doing? Stop digging."
Yeah.
Idiot. No one's asking you to do this. And I'm like, no, the ball must go up a hill.
Yeah. And I mean, also too, it's, people are not reading this alternate text on Mastodon,
No, but they aren't reading the article I write either. So that's fine.
No. So
we're in this together, which is why the articles have become increasingly nonsensical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so also, that's why my alt text has become, increasingly ironic. Yeah.
So. I just like the idea of like, okay, how well did my idea for the joke come across?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, did he follow it? Maybe. I'm still really, really happy with the Krusty one. I'm seeing double here 4 Krusties. That one, I'm really happy with how that turned out. That was a very good one. But the fucking, cause y'all may make Jean-Claude Van Damme's ass a Kirby. Y'all did that. I tried to end the show. I'm not happy with that. I will never be happy with that one. I will always be mad forever.
I had to describe it, so.
Yeah, that's fair. John suddenly gained an echo talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme's Kirby ass, so that's cool. Speaking of always mad forever, I think I'm going to end the show here. You guys good with that?
Yeah, it's best to stop before I said what I wanted to say about the sudden echo as we talk about Kirby's mouth wrapping JCVD's ass.
I just had to move.
Well, that's not where your vocal cords are. You're fine.
So,
okay.
So on that, Greg, music.
Yes, well, as I understand it, I mean, I don't know how exact these things are. When you go back to the 80s and release dates, I think it was a bit fuzzy. And of course, it was the thing in question was a test launch. But I believe the best date that we've got for the anniversary of the NES launch in New York, as we talked about last week when we were mentioning the Versus system, with the question in the email about the arcades and all that, is the 18th of October. Back in 1985, the NES was test launched, and I was just reading an interview just the other day, recently, I think Time Extension had it, about the fact that apparently, I think the other people at the NOA at the time were actually wanted to do the test launch in Kentucky, to kind of have it be a bit more out of the way, a bit more kind of like small scale and, very much a test, maybe something they could kind of walk away from more easily if it didn't go very well. And it was Yamauchi, that would put his foot down and said, no, we're going to do this in New York. So the 18th apparently is the best date we've got to mark the 40th anniversary of the launch of the NES. And so, it's kind of tricky to come up with something musically, for this that represents, the console. Obviously plenty of classic NES music. They've been remixed plenty of times, not least in Smash Brothers and all sorts of other
NES
places.
remix.
NES Remix itself, which we've actually used before. That did cross my mind, obviously. But I was like, let's see what I can find. Maybe something a bit more off the beaten path. And actually, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, actually, because this is from the Famicom's 20th anniversary. And in fact, I think by the time it came out, it was a bit after that, because the Famicom came out in 83. But this we've got a kind of an album, but it was on a DVD that the Nintendo put out for the 20th anniversary of the Famicom. A number of games soundtracks just accessible on this DVD, I think. But they also had this kind of like super medley of NES themes, right? And obviously some of them are, kind of the things from games that actually had like more full soundtracks, and some of them are just adapting like the little ditties that they had for like the title screens, right? Some of the really early Famicom games that would become like the NES black box games when it was launched in New York in 85, like they don't really have music, unless of course you talk about Golf, which literally has nothing.
Right.
I think actually, funnily enough, the Versus arcade version of Golf gave it title screen music. That was one of the things that they added. But yes, so you've got this medley here, and the energy of it I would describe as reminiscent of those final remixes in a Rhythm Heaven game, where it's like we're gonna shotgun through the motifs of pretty much every constituent sort of minigame song in the Rhythm Heaven game as we build to, the final challenge. It's quite a lot like that. It's got that kind of up-tempo, kind of escalating feel to it as it goes through all these various classic Famicom and NES games. Being as it is from Japan, there are a few, you will detect a few Japan exclusive things in here that don't perfectly fit the occasion of an NES anniversary. I'll confess, like a quick burst of Devil World or closing on Nazo no Murasamacho. But it's all very fun. I do like this quite a lot. Like I said, it feels like if there was, if they ever did like a game music version of Rhythm Heaven, the way that you have like 9-volt in WarioWare, right. Like, it would sound like this. That's what I think.
Ooh, well, on that, it is time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.